in the faith, because it's like, am I representing who I know God to be, or will people conflate this with these weak ass representations of God that are floating all around the internet?
No, I feel no, you own it. I feel like the relationship with God itself, whatever that God is to you, is what you should be doing, right? Facts. Whether it's whatever it is that makes you wake up and say, I'm gonna be a good person today. Yeah. Whatever it is that makes you put those boundaries in, whether it's your healing, your sage, or whatever it is for you, I'm all right with you doing you, just like I am with people doing what they do in their own bedrooms. I care about when you come out the house, the character of, like, the content of your character. Yeah. Who are you? Are you helping the homeless? Are you doing the things, or not even the homeless? Are you just a good fucking person? Yeah. Because that's so hard nowadays to be.
Yeah. And this is the exact opposite message that the church teach.
Yeah, that's why we got Cobain Report, and we do both, because we talk it straight up.
And I wonder if this is why there's no successful people in church.
What? It's a few successful.
I'm talking about majority of black churches.
They be broke.
There's not a lot of prosperous people. I'm not talking about people who looked up on a good paying salary. I'm talking about fruit, abundance, prosperity. That's not common. It's like a nice little 1%.
Yeah, but in church, it's a 1%er in church. On my mama, it is.
In the church,
and then they say you stealing. Then they be like, well, they stealing because they the 1%ers. Nah, a lot of niggas be working. Like, yes, they be gigging and doing 2 or 3 different church services and all that kind of stuff, but it's a hustle to it.
But it's literally the mentality that you just explained is why they're fruitful, but the church don't teach that.
Well, I just finished the MLK X series. It's really good. They didn't promote it really well.
The one on Disney?
A lot of people haven't seen it.
Okay,
yes, on Disney.
I didn't even know about it.
It's a genius series, and y'all, like, for it to be this good, you would think that, like, you would have seen billboards coming down the freeway about this series. At the end, they really start to, like, show you the difference in philosophy between Malcolm when he comes, when he gets free, and Martin. And I was like, when I sat down, I'm like, oh, right behind Malcolm. Yeah. That felt good because his messaging is so in line with what has caused the shift for me career-wise, which is essentially that faith without works is dead. Yeah. This scripture is so common. If you come up in church, this is just something that is as common as for God so loved the world, right? Yeah. If you hear it, you know faith without works is dead. But we are waiting on somebody to come save us. And this is not happening. We are begging God to do this thing.
Instead of doing it for yourself.
Like, please quit asking God for money.
And the philosophies around a lot of what Malcolm X was teaching was like, we need to save ourselves. And I believe that when that's burning, I believe it. I bet you it could happen.
Yeah.
I believe in belief. I believe that when Muslims are fasting for Ramadan, because of the belief they have assigned to this act of fasting, they see results. They feel closer to God, right? They feel more, they get more disciplined. I believe in that. My belief, because of how I came up, is in Jesus Christ.
Right.
Just because I just can't shake it.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Bro,
it's so beautiful.
No, listen, dog, you hitting right now, bro. Like,
beautiful.
I feel the same way. Like, I be telling, me and Cuz be having these conversations between us, and I'm like, nigga, we need to go on Clubhouse with this, because we be talking. I'm at it. Don't worry about it. I got you. But anyway, we be talking about doing a Clubhouse because we literally talk about this all day. Religion is such a in-depth thing for us in our world, you know, because we know what we were taught. We grew up around preachers, right? But we've grown and we've evolved in our own personal opinions about stuff. My cousin, he's similar to what you believe. He like, I believe in belief. I also believe in the law of attraction. So like you said,
essentially
is that law is belief.
Yep.
So when you say, when you burn something, you do it, you can get that to happen because you attracting this, bro. I feel like we've all attracted certain things in our life just from the power of our tongue.
Yeah. I believe it down to the point that if you want to go connect with an ancestor and you believe that this reader can somehow act as the medium between where you are and where they are, you might get some information.
In your belief.
If you believe, I'm that far.
Go ahead, because I know Tramell already.
The fact of the matter is, and I know a lot of people watching is probably like, well, how could that work? How could... The whole magic of it all is the fact that when you do believe, you function differently. Yeah, you see differently. You hear differently. So when you have all those things triggering you, your motion is going to bring whatever it is that you desire.
And those are the universal laws for me.
Yep.
God, whatever you call God created this being with an ability to activate here and things shift.
That's what God did.
So whatever causes me to activate here and get confident and feel like something is moving me, I don't care what that is.
Sure.
Right. But I be seeing results.
Right.
I've seen results.
Right.
I've even seen results from the ungodly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because they believe something, they go in that. It's like these are universal.
I'm a girl's girl.
I want to talk about something that I inboxed her the other day because I listened to her music and her music is so powerful and so like uplifting for women and women of color. I asked her, I'm like, hey, are you a feminist? Like, is this music feminist vibes? Because I told my dad, I was like, yeah, I think I'm turning into a feminist ally. He's like, we need to do some talking because I don't know. Yeah, you're a little tender. Talk to me about your views on feminism.
I am not a feminist. If I was to give myself a label, I would want to honor the work of bell hooks and say that I'm a womanist. I think that womanism is more grounded in the experience of a Black woman, and it considers the way that patriarchy harms not just women but also men. And I think as a Black person, you can't have a singular lens on this and just like only acknowledge how women have been harmed by patriarchy. I think even though men are closer to patriarchy, Black men, and they tend to have a little bit more power to oppress, Black men are being harmed by it as well. Yeah. And so something I had to realize with feminism was that I wanted a man. No matter how angry I was at patriarchy or gender norms or whatever, I still, at the end of the day, wanted a man. And the kind of man that I wanted tends to be not really, he's not gonna call himself a feminist. He might even be problematic. And so unless I'm
a little toxic, just a little toxic.
A little bit.
You like a little bit of toxicity.
The way that men are programmed, it makes room for toxicity to just make its way into your thought process. It's difficult to avoid that. So the men that I'm attracted to tend to be, by social standards, masculine. And here I am waving this feminism flag saying that everything that's wrong with the world is because of men. And I'm creating an energy on me that's like, fuck men. But at the end of the day, I want one. Right. How does this work? And so I think I had a turning point after reading Bell Hooks where I was able to be empathetic toward the experience of Black men in America and put a little bit more honey on my messaging so that we can actually come to a common ground and move forward instead of arguing all the time, because I love men. Thank you.
Nah, I'm gonna take it a little different direction. So like you spoke on a movie you had seen. I seen a movie on Netflix and it was about this middle-class Black couple where what happened, they were standing next to this officer and the officer had killed this child. So they were, in their house and they're watching, the news, and they get frustrated and they're like, this keep happening to us, and they get all upset, and then they work themselves up to go and like basically take him hostage. They take him hostage and then they, question him and they find out, that it was a white kid that he had killed and everything changed. They say, why you didn't tell us? At that moment, I'm like, man, so can Black people be racist?
What? I love the lead up to this question.
Listen.
I have thoughts on this though.
Go ahead, you the guest.
You first.
Go right.
When people say that Black people can't be racist, it feels like we're saying that we never have any power in any space anywhere. So if you look at racism by definition of the power to systemically oppress, to say we don't have that. So we don't have no power in no systems, nowhere. I worked a job in nonprofit, for a music nonprofit where I was hiring. I'm an area director and I'm hiring people to run these studios. I interviewed so many white men. And because we are in communities of color, where these kids are Black and going through Black issues and want to make Black music, as soon as I saw a white person, I'm like, now you got to prove it. That you,
that you in the culture.
I don't have no
sure.
power.
Yeah.
I don't have any power in that moment to say like, nah, just because you're white. I do. I think it's way less likely that a Black person is going to be able to use said power to oppress, because we typically don't have power. But I'm like, I don't know.
So you telling me like you got to go through however long that you've been alive, whatever struggles you've been through, whatever like circumstance you've had, you gotta die to see something, you know, like beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, but this is what churches like teaches. Like, it's I think an old system that we are like as the new generational, like, you know, believers or you know, spiritual seekers or whatever it is. I think it's up to us to like kind of change what's going on.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get deeper with it though, bro. And I know we're gonna go to another topic. I know the vibes, right? But a lot of this is based off of what we were trained and taught when we got off them boats. And we've just been carrying what we were taught through the generations.
Yeah.
So when a person says, well, I'm afraid I'd rather keep it than not have it. I mean, we've been taught so long and ingrained that this is Christian, this is what it is. But I guarantee you before they got off them boats, that ain't what it was for us.
No.
Not at all.
I don't think it was a fear-based religious system. And you also can't assume or think for a second that the oppressor would give me a belief system and a way to access God that empowers me.
No.
Why would they do that?
The way we do Christianity right now is totally not the original practice of our people.
No.
Let's just be clear. This was some programming. This is to get you to think a certain way so you can do a certain thing to make somebody else something in return. Yeah. This is not for the benefit of us. It's up to us to escape like Harriet and find the light.
I think COVID,
and figure it out until the next person.
No, you good. Sorry. I think I ain't even cut you off. My bad. It's bad though. Like, yeah. First time I saw you, but you was killing it, and I'm like, I was just sitting there watching, like, bro, this girl is up next. And then it's like you just kept growing and evolving. Start seeing you on everything. I'm like, yeah, she the one. Yeah. Then when you opened your mouth and was talking about the religious aspect, I'm like, damn, she just like me too. Yeah, we gotta get her on the Cobain Report.
That'd be the part. People be like, oh, you like me. You went through that too.
Yeah, you just like me. T-Mail gets, I know you got one. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna get into the topic. You know, Charity said something. Charity said something that made sense or related to the topic earlier as far as about Ty Tribbett and what he said about the church.
Yeah.
And was, you know, piggybacking off what he said and wondering, do you think like the church is dead?
No, I don't, because I think those of us that grew up within the community of church are kind of longing for something. I know I am. I think church as it was, maybe is dying. But I do think that millennials are going to decide that we do need community. And we're either going to go back and revolutionize what church looks like, or we're going to have to create our own institutions. But I know that for my children, like, no, my future children, you're not gonna be on your tablet all day on Sunday.
No, for
like,
sure.
There's something that got produced in me from being in church, having to sit there and listen and sit a certain way and learn my Easter speech. It created a standard of excellence in me that I think I want for my children, my future children.
That's why when you do it for good, the impact, the return is so great. Because when we say stuff like made in his image, that's what that means.
Yeah.
You know, it was funny, like she said, as far as like with the universal laws, when it comes down to church, people hate when you refer to, you know, different things happening for yourself outside of it being, you know, God's work. It's like, you know, God is the universe. Yeah. But it is like a thing where, because everybody doesn't grow up in church. Everybody doesn't have the same, you know, experience. Like it was a Arab guy I was talking to, and I think he broke down religion like real, like, you know, kind of deep in one little, like, you know, sentence. And he basically asked me, do people practice religion because they're afraid or because they believe? And like the afraid part is like, are you afraid you're gonna go to hell?
Yeah.
You
know what I mean?
Remember the conversation we had the other day when I was like, he was like, yeah, because, and I said, because listen, bro, I hear you, I love you to death, but I'd rather be caught with it than without it.
And that's what, and I'm trying to tell him, like, you know, because when he said that, because like, our conversations go back, but when he said that, I'm like, look, now with this, okay, what do you mean like being caught without it? Because like I'm looking at people, interviews that I've seen, and people say like when they, you know, come close to death where they flatline, they didn't see nothing but darkness.
Yeah.
But when, like you said, where you were speaking on earlier, what we've been trained in church is to believe that like it's gonna be this like gold road and it's gonna be these things.
Dave Brooks is a friend, a brother to me, and he is a person who is in my soul family when it comes to what we have, our understanding of what's beautiful to us. We agree on that. And so like when I bring a song to him, he is able to add beauty in a way where I'm like, yes. Yeah. And then he's a master on his instrument, and he's a master as a producer.
Yes,
and so he's able to take things that maybe you haven't even realized in my mind and bring them to the track. Sure. And then Vince Berry too. He's
shout out to Vince.
Those are my guys.
Yeah, for sure. Vince, I go back east side, you know the vibes. Yeah, I was over there. Yeah. Even when he did Sandcastles and all them records with Beyonce, like I watched Vince evolve too. All these people that you're speaking of are greats in the game.
Vince is
a
genius.
I mean, Vince is so far ahead of everybody. Like he stopped trying to make everybody keep up with him. He just was like, y'all stay down there. I'm gonna keep evolving.
And that's a person with an energy level and with an ability to combine faith with works that I'm very inspired by. I always give Vince his flowers every chance I get.
Yeah, shout out to Vince. Shout out to Jay Brooks.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. They are powerhouses in the city. You got some good producers behind you.
That felt good because his messaging is so in line with what has caused the shift for me career-wise, which is essentially that faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
This scripture is so common. If you come up in church, this is just something that is as common as for God so loved the world, right?
Yeah.
If you hear it, you know faith without works is dead. But we are waiting on somebody to come save us.
And this is not happening.
We are begging God to do this thing.
Instead of doing it for yourself.
Like, please quit asking God for money.
And the philosophies around a lot of what Malcolm X was teaching was like, we need to save ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's why the state of the church is so riddled with suffering.
Yeah.
Because people have a lot of belief and no energy.
Facts.
Yeah.
When you can put some energy with your belief.
Yeah.
And then they be so like, when you actually do, they be like, wait a minute, what is he doing so different? No, bro, we got the same 24 hours in a day.
Facts.
It's about how you grinding, how you hitting that pavement to get it, bro.
That's it.
I'm telling you, I sat in the church. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I sat in the church for probably about 5 years, and it took the 5th year for me to be like, wait a minute.
Right.
Like, you know, I'm on the praise and worship team. This is different. Then I'm like, some weird shit here that I don't really mess with. And then I take the like little shuttle to church in college here and there. And then I realized that like every sermon is about like haters. And when you've grown up in church and when you a Sunday school kid, these popcorn surface hater messages ain't quite doing it for me either. Yeah. So it's like, all right, I gotta figure out my own connection to God now.
So I heard you talk about the praise and worship. Was that where you kind of knew you could sing and like where the gift got cultivated even though you moved from there?
No, I would say I realized that I could sing doing like showcases. So a recital at the co-op that the homeschoolers went to or something like that.
Cute and safe.
Or
That's
or like
cute.
the summer camp that I went to, like they would have a talent show at the end of the week. Funk Master Flex says to a young guy though that's like trying to come up and DJ, and he about to go on stage, and he says to him like, administer joy. And I'm like, I remember like feeling God in that moment, like, whoa, that's saying something to me. Like when you go on stage, you administer joy. That's just your job. And so I'm able to tap into an energy whose main intention is to administer joy. And I've studied people who do that really, really well. Like Nina Simone is one of the first people that I've studied who will allow God to take over her when she's on stage. I've watched, I'm like, oh, now she out her body. I want to go there. And I've practiced that. I've practiced like going there on stage, being fully present with the people in the room, but also connecting fully to God while I'm up there.
That's something you have to learn as a performer. That's not something that comes natural.
No.
How long did it take you, I would say, in your performing back to kind of get into that where you felt more comfortable, like maybe a year, 1 year, 2?
And I've practiced that. I've practiced like going there on stage, being fully present with the people in the room, but also connecting fully to God while I'm up there.
That's something you have to learn as a performer. That's not something that comes natural.
No.
How long did it take you, I would say, in your performing back to kind of get into that where you felt more comfortable, like maybe a year, 1 year, 2? What you think?
I think I was probably 5 years in, actually. Because you got to remember, I'm performing at like, I start at like 16. Like that was the first real show I played at the Ribs and Soul Fest. I'm 16. And I stood in one spot on guitar. And then I start sitting down with the guitar, which is basically telling the audience, you can listen to me or you maybe not. What's up to you? Like, I had to learn over the years, like, what message do you send people when you sit down and you play this guitar?
Sure.
Are you a coffee house artist or are you a world-class artist? So I have to stand up. So now I'm always standing up with my guitar, but then I played every single song on my guitar so I can never walk around on stage.
So there's people who don't agree with that.
Yeah.
So she was like, that was...
I think until I got to the other side of it, I felt resentful of how sheltered I was, because I'm not just a PK, I'm a homeschooler. Yeah. On top of that,
24/7 with them.
Exposure to like things that are just helping kids to like grow up, like I am getting that way late. And so definitely I think was on the like.
You know the vibes. Today we have a very special guest. Tramell, get into that intro, brother.
Oh man, so today we have a homegrown shero here with us today, hailing from the west side of Detroit. She started playing the guitar at the tender age of 13. Now she pairs that guitar with her angelic vocals in her music. You may have heard some songs like Eclipse, Millennials, West Side, or Cruel. She is taking her time out to bring some of that heat to us today on the...
Oh yeah, like you said, we do have power, but it's so often that we come into those situations where we do have the power. But I do believe black people can be racist, because sometimes I be having those feelings like, if you don't get your hands on my own face.
But I think that feeling is justified by the history of what it has looked like to be a black person in America. That feeling of like, I don't want you in my space.
Yes.
You typically tend to do harm when you get into these spaces. And so to protect myself from this harm that you tend to cause, like, please move. I don't think that's racist though.
Yeah.
I think that's like self-preservation.
In an aspect,
that.
yeah. What you did not know was you was creating this right here, which is a monster. Like, bro, to say the Beyonce of Detroit that's crazy. It's crazy work, but who? I mean, it's some other artists. I ain't even gonna get into that conversation because I know that can go real left. But yes, I agree with that fact.
I'm just
that
saying.
she is. Definitely what she said on the last show, top 3, and she's not the 3.
Not number 3.
She's not number 3. Yeah, that's what she said.
It's the package.
Talk about the journey, man. Talk about the journey. I know we both preachers kids, so I know how that went. How was it for you growing up in church?
Right here the whole time. I can't really connect with the people in the audience. That person that know all the words, that's over there on the left side, I can't have a moment with them because I stay here the whole time. So I had to trust my band to like, okay, y'all take up this space that I'm taking up on guitar so I can walk around. And then I started writing songs that didn't require the guitar, and I got even more free. So it's this progression of me not being such a purist about like what I think good music is, and allowing myself to become an artist and an entertainer.
Which one did Eclipse?
I did Eclipse.
You did Eclipse?
Yes. So Eclipse is, I mean, let me be like honest. Eclipse is written on a loop that I found. So that's not me playing that super fast guitar. But then I was like, okay, I want this to be very empty. So I did most of it. And then CJ Alexander in LA, he added some bass to it. And I think that's it. Guitar, bass, and me, and some harmonies.
Nah, that song is fire. Go ahead, Tramell.
Thank you.
And we honestly need black women to love on us. It's tough out here, you know what I mean? Like, we go to these jobs every day, and we have to, you know, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, cuz can tell you, we both, you know, we talk. This is probably my closest confidant when it comes to anything. Like, me and this dog, we talk about every freaking thing, like kids, all kind of stuff. So he can tell you, bro, I be like, dog, I just don't want to do it no more. Like, I'm tired of being super or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you need that woman to speak life into you.
And this was the moment that I like became a musician, because I had the right teacher, somebody who understood like, no, those poems are songs.
Right.
She has an ability to perform that's going to take her beyond this.
No.
And so it was nurtured. This is like an old white guy that played folk guitar.
Bro.
I credit him, Mr. Palmer.
Shout out to Mr. Palmer.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mr. Bro, we're going to get to the real interview, but I think you've earned everybody's respect through your music. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
I know you as on the social media side as well, but your music speaks so much. The stories that your music tells, I feel like you the homie.
Yeah,
I feel like I know you just because
it's supposed to feel.
Your book of music is like, oh, she went through that? She went through that?
Yeah.
All right, Tramell, get us into the real show, because you know I fan out quick. You are a deep thinker for sure.
Yeah.
Do you think that it impaired any of your social skills though?
My mom kind of comes from a kind of social climate that kept us from being weird. Like homeschoolers are
Shout out to weird.
Homeschoolers, you've met some homeschoolers.
Man.
And you like,
homeschool my kids.
Yeah, that's what
I have a
perfect
7th grader
conversation
right
here.
now in homeschool.
I would say, I think that the Air Force One is the most classic sneaker design ever.
Yes.
I think it is timeless. It will never go away. And then I think Tinker Hatfield and Michael Jordan did some special stuff together.
Dream team. Yeah.
Dream team. I think the synergy of what they had is like, there's something to be studied there. So the Jordan 1 is next in line for me, even though that feels so cliche because it's having such a hype beast moment. And then the 4, the silhouette of the 4.
The 4 is my favorite
Really?
shoe.
Butter to
I
me.
love the 4s. They're my
I do
favorite
not
Jones.
like 4s. I tell my husband all the time, those look like a biscuit. You know when a biscuit
Oh my
the
God, I love
4s,
them.
bro.
I'm sorry.
I love
There's something
I'm sorry,
sleek
all
about that 4.
sneakerheads.
You got some high picks. High
Yeah.
picks.
Okay,
I
am
would
cleared
scratch the
now?
4 for the
You
11.
Am I cleared now to give her? You ever good?
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Charity, go ahead. Let us know about the things before Tramell runs his show again.
I appreciate y'all. This has been fun. Okay, so I'm Charity. You can find me on Instagram at Charity, CHARITY. Eclipse dropped in January. That's available everywhere you stream music. Cruel dropped in February, and then we snatched it back, and we're giving you an opportunity to pay for it. You can pay whatever you want to pay for Cruel. Let me say it again. You can pay whatever you want to pay for Cruel. It's only on Even right now, so that's at the link in my bio on Instagram. We're gonna put it back out soon. But for now, I got another song coming out very soon. We're gonna do an EP this spring, a couple more singles, and we're gonna perform live also this spring. We're gonna do a Detroit show.
We need a media pass so we can come and
Yeah, oh no, let's do that.
Yeah, I gotta, cause boy, your shows be lit.
Oh no, the live experience
It's
is
crazy.
the best. Yeah,
No, it is.
And we just gonna go all year round. Like I've held a lot of songs hostage. I'm out of that. So like, yeah, y'all getting all of these songs
Getting this work,
in this
yeah.
folder.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Tramell, tell them what you got going.
We want to thank Charity for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
Keep on subscribing. Check us out. Like, comment, subscribe. YouTube, The Cobain Report.